I want to match the height of the text. That makes it really easy to match image and text heights.
Could you do that using the one that next one might have?
The right?
In the hierarchy?
Oh, well, yeah, you could select the objects from here. I think it's a little more difficult to do it here, but it does give you finer grain control over your objects.
The time I use those, the clicking on the hierarchy is when selecting back and forth. When you know exactly where you want, like when you see it jumping back and forth and you know where you want it, because otherwise if you scroll up on the item hierarchy for a moment, there's a long list of vertical, horizontal,
Yep.
and then go figure which ones.
So
but if you know exactly which one of them you want, then yeah, click on it and it's easy.
So here's what we started with. This was the original template, and it was a nightmare for us to try to modify. Since this dashboard was built, we've gone back and created new templates that have fewer containers, and they're just easier to manage.
Let's start naming your containers.
No, I don't have that. Is it, what version are you talking about?
It might be 2019,
Okay. That would be very useful for us. Yeah. Oh, actually, I wanted to ask a quick question for a future presentation. How many in this audience have used Donut's charts? Okay. Who has used who has created the grid of charts? Has anybody done a grid of charts?
Like a small multiples?
The multiples, yeah. Anybody who's done it? I want to bring this up because I thought this was a really neat trick. Let's see. So we had an executive that had the bright idea. They wanted all their dashboards to come up in donuts, and it's great. Let's see. Okay. So in this situation, we have, these are quality indicators, different rules that we run on our data. And these data quality rules, sometimes we'll have 25 or 30. And we really want to kind of, at a glance, show our executives either the line of business or the table or whatever rule they're interested in. So this donut chart, we use a little calculation magic to do a grid. And then this is really a donut or a circle chart on top of a donut or a pie chart. But this gives the executives really pretty, as my manager likes to say, it's a really nice eye candy for them. And it's really intuitive. They can very quickly see which are the lowest performing objects in our area. Is this something that the audience would be interested in?
I think so.
Next time? This took a little while to get to.
Yeah. You end up sending some of those out in emails, with the email image so that your executive has a right there in email?
No, thankfully. I think once you take the image or the data right out of Tableau, you just destroyed all of the functionality.
Yeah.
Fortunately for us, most of our dashboards are utilized on Tableau server. That's why we make them highly interactive. I mean, here we have them, you can filter by time frame, by system ID, rule ID, and the fields or tables. So there's a lot of variation that the analysts can go and do their own analysis.
Maybe like a general question for everyone, the way you show the templates, right, with the header and footer, because we spend a lot of time in organizing the headers and footers, right? For example, for a Word document, we have header and footer where we can set it as a template and promote it. Is there any plan to have that kind of feature in Tableau? Like the way you import your color palettes, similarly, if someone has to use the import template, they can just import it and put them on.
So what we've done is we just have an empty container where we put a very simple chart and just those containers you saw me dragging around. that's what we start out with. We actually have a file called Wells Fargo template, and our team will take that and populate the charts in there. But there's not like a separate file that is created specifically for templates, not that I know of, in 2018. Oh, well, that's it. Any more questions, guys?
What makes, do you have any standards as far as your outer dimension, like your total width at night?
No, because sometimes our management still wants to see the crosstabs. It's like 30 columns wide. It's very frustrating. So
Tableau? You're building 30
well,
columns.
not 30. Okay, so 16 was the max that we were allowed to do. 16. It's obviously very ugly, so we still have to tweak the size, and sometimes we have really long charts. There's a lot of regulatory reporting that has to be a specific format, so we have to make them a little longer. So, no, the size is very large.
Certification.
Is there any way you could create extra columns in the system?
Actually, that's another thing I guess that not everyone knows, and let me make sure that I point this one out. So let's say for here, let's go to this chart, this crosstab. By default, I think it's like 6 before it starts piling up on itself. For the new people, that if you didn't realize, under, let's see,
I think you're right,
table layout advanced, see, by default, I think it was like 9. So if you do 9, oh, see, I didn't have enough here. But by default, they also,
Try 4. Yeah, it's small.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, you can just drag more.
There's a way.
Yeah, you can, to the question, 16 is the max. Can you get around 16? Yes.
Yes.
Would I advise it?
no.
No.
You can do it with the XML. You can technically do it with just fake measures. You know, you can just keep throwing fake measures out there and then just keep increasing the marks cards and use them, you know, to kind of create that effect. It's all going to affect performance one way or another.
Yes, it does.
So you got to be
Definitely.
real careful.
Every time we added more columns, it just slows down our dashboard.
So we have an issue where, in order to retire a manual process, we have to create the dashboards in a way that exporting from them would create the same files that they get right now from the manual process. And that file that they get is a boatload of columns.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't envy our tech team.
That's real tedious. All right.
All right.
Well, guys, thank you for your time.
Israel.
Oh.
You know what I'd also like to see the future one, I like radar charts, like in Excel.
Mm.
Can we look at how to do radar charts on?
Well, I've never done a radar chart.
I'm
That's
trying
a great idea.
I've seen them.
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing it in Tableau, because I like them in Excel.
I'm trying to think of how.
It would be like 5 attributes,
Yeah.
and then.
They have to stay.
Yeah, spiral chart, and if they're all the same distance from the center, that means everything's running well. If you look like Pac-Man, that means you've got
That's actually a good idea.
one attribute that's poor, and so you could look at the wholeness of statistic, or whatever you want to call it, by the uniformity in the shape.
That's a good idea. I have to figure out a way
It's a
to.
polygon, we have to compute the angles based on how many dimensions, so to make it really as flexible as Excel has it, it's tricky. If you know exactly you have just 6 dimensions, then you could make like 360 divided by 3, and then you compute the coordinates, and you run a polygon with the rest of that, and then you and then you get an image from somewhere that is just the web. You know,
We'll make sure to label that presentation in advance.
Sounds like you want to do a presentation on radar charts.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Israel.
Thank you.